66 million years ago on our planet called Earth, life ended spectacularly, or rather, apocalyptically. A huge meteorite hit the Earth and literally killed all living things. That is, the dinosaurs, who were the main inhabitants at the time. But is there proof that it was actually a meteorite? I mean, sure, there is proof of an explosion, the huge crater in the Gulf of Mexico. But what if the explosion was not caused by a meteorite? What if, for example, it was a gigantic alien ship, and those who were on it survived the crash and, with the help of their technologies, rebuilt a vast civilization? They built cities, invented machines, telephones, bicycles, and started calling themselves not aliens anymore but humanity. Yes, that kind of crazy theory is something you can hear if you Google any UFO video. But actually, there is a small paradox here. Right now, there are so many high-quality videos about aliens and similar things that if we saw a video that was really of aliens, in theory possible, we would probably miss it. We would never know that the video is genuine, because fakes are forged so well. I mean, for example, this very video could calmly be real, but we would never know, because such footage can be edited in any program. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. At the moment, all we have are a few guesses and theories that aliens exist. Many of them seem quite dubious at first glance, or at least they did, until the US Congress confirmed the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations on our planet. Essentially, that was the first official statement on UFOs. You can check that article yourself. It was published in many governmental media. According to former CIA agent David Grush, the Pentagon found biological material from another planet. They discovered it on crashed spacecraft. But the creepiest thing here is not even that. It's that, as David claims, the Pentagon knew about the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations as early as the 1930s. He also asserts that many of his colleagues suffered after contact with that biomaterial. Sorry, dark gray or black cubes inside a transparent sphere. The tips or ends of the cubes penetrated into this sphere mostly. That's what was reported when we were able to gather a visual description of these objects. We saw them flying at a speed of 0.0 Mach. That is, when the flight speed is 0 relative to certain points. The most surprising part is that he said all of this under oath. So if he lied, he faces fines and up to 5 years in prison. In any case, this news stunned many theorists, journalists, and, in general, everyone. So now we can look at things from a slightly different angle, which is what we're going to do. This incident happened very recently, and believe me, it would not have seemed so creepy to anyone if not for that government UFO statement. At first glance, the situation is pretty ordinary. A girl named Sarah Mank goes to meet her younger sister after work. I could not find the younger sister's real name, so I'll just call her younger sister, even though she was already 20 years old. Sarah still looked after her a lot and worried about her. Basically treated her like a daughter after they were left without parents. Sarah truly took on the role of a worried mom. So that evening, as every day, they agreed to meet at 9 p.m. at a certain stop. But something went wrong. When Sarah arrived at the stop, her sister was not there. She thought her sister just hadn't gotten there yet and continued sitting in the car. The feeling of unease did not leave her, and she was about to open Blink to check her sister's geolocation, if not for their agreement not to track each other. Apparently the younger sister was annoyed by the overprotectiveness. According to Sarah's Twitter, Sarah held out for exactly 2 minutes, then broke the agreement and opened Blink to check her sister's location. She saw that her younger sister was 100 meters from the car and was walking toward her, holding her phone in her hand and moving straight toward her. Looking at the sister's Blink geolocation, Sarah began to see a silhouette approaching on the road and moved closer, but at some point she realized that it was not her sister. The girl, shocked by what she saw, returned to the car, sat down, and continued waiting for her sister, or rather, tried to wait. The thought that someone else might have her sister's phone did not leave her alone. She decided once again to open Blink and check the sister's location. And here comes the strangest part. Look, they had agreed to meet at 9 p.m. Sarah checked the sister's geolocation in Blink twice, at 9:05 p.m. and at 9:09 p.m. That is, 4 minutes apart. By Sarah's account, when she opened Blink the second time and checked the sister's location 4 minutes later, her sister was already 5 kilometers away from her. Does that seem like she walks a bit fast to you? Maybe many don't understand how it works, so I'll explain. Blink lets you see friends' locations in real time. So Sarah and her sister could see each other's locations if they granted access. Sarah could see not only where her sister was, but also how long she had been at that place. Because she entered the app late, her sister had already left the meeting point. Sarah sat in the car with shaking hands and refreshed Blink, hoping that maybe friends took her sister in a car, and that's why she moved away so quickly. The strangest thing was that the sister did not pick up the phone or answer calls, although she did read messages, so it looked like someone else had her phone. Sarah panicked. She started the car, opened Blink, and began driving after the moving point, switching the map to satellite mode to better understand where her sister was. She saw that the sister was moving at an incredible speed. A person does not move like that on foot. She decided to drive right after her, constantly watching the map, but at one point the point simply disappeared. She had no choice but to drive back home and hope her sister was already there, but as you can guess, no. Poor Sarah sat on sedatives all night waiting for her sister, who only returned in the morning, if nothing had happened, and said her phone had simply died. She'd been partying with friends and hadn't answered calls. A month passed after this incident. Sarah had no choice but to come to terms with it and try to forget, although that creepy figure would not leave her memory. Now pay attention. That official statement from the US Congress about UFOs came out, and Sarah remembered the story again. A new bout of paranoia. Somehow she began to connect her sister's disappearance to the existence of UFOs. Let's be honest, that creature definitely looked like some kind of humanoid. A doubtful idea came into her head. When she had followed her sister's location in Blink, she had memorized one of the addresses the sister passed. She drove to that address, knocked on the door, and asked the homeowners if they had a security system. By some miracle, those people were cooperative and showed her surveillance footage. She opened the footage for June 20th, and, believe me, she would have been better off not doing that. Now look closely into the depth of the woods. Let's put it this way, as sister said, she was partying with friends that night. Maybe they had dressed up in weird costumes for a carnival, or maybe they were just crazy maniacs. But the creepiest thing here is this: if Sarah had not checked Blink and tracked her sister as they'd agreed, she would never have seen these strange frames. It's good that the sister returned home, and apparently is afraid to tell everything. Maybe they threatened her. Now, back to that UFO statement from the US government. It seemed like a huge sensation, but has anything really changed in the world? That depends on what you believe. For example, a guy named Steve Lime claimed a few days later that he is a former Pentagon engineer who was fired for disclosing secret information. He decided to go further and show his followers something else according to him.
Paratroopers in grid product uniform 259er, 119er. I don't know, we're onto them. Break.
That extraterrestrial object was shot down by the US Navy on the orders of the FBI, May 18, 1996. The radars of one of the ships detected an object whose data was missing, and everything looked like an alien invasion because the speed at which the object moved was, to put it mildly, out of this world. After 3 attempts to establish contact, the object did not respond and continued accelerating toward one of the ships. The strangest thing, according to Steve, is that nobody actually shot the object down. It fell into the water by itself. Of course, they fired, but only after it had already landed on the water. He says it all looked like an attempt from their side to establish contact, but they did not know how. People opened fire on it. But there are a couple of questions for Steve Line from me. First, why do I not see any marks from shells on that ship? And second, that video is basically all the evidence he provided. I agree the video looks plausible. But does it not seem strange to you that if they claim extraterrestrial civilizations existed and were detected as early as 1930, then why during all that time have we never seen any alien ship with our own eyes? Everything is only on video and images. Maybe some of you have seen one. Write in the comments. But here is one theory why we might not have seen alien civilizations. What if we did not see them because we are simply alone in space? I will explain. You all know the speed of light number. Now you must understand that to see something, a light particle must travel from that object to our eyes at that speed. For example, light from the moon reaches us in 1 second, and from the sun in 8 minutes. So we see the sun not in real time, but as it was 8 minutes ago. If we look further, the nearest galaxy we see as it was 2.5 million years ago. The scariest and most disturbing thing here is that we do not see anything in real time. So here's what I'll say. A time machine exists. It's a telescope. Of course, you cannot climb into it and move back in time physically. But with a telescope, we can learn about the past of the entire universe. The past is understandable. But what about the present? What if everything that surrounds us, I mean these cosmic images from nearby galaxies, simply does not exist yet, and the light from them has not yet reached us? If so, we cannot count on contact with extraterrestrial organisms, because they just do not exist here, at least not yet. Remember that number again, the speed of light. Let's try to take that number and insert it into Google Maps as coordinates separated by a dot. Before you say it's just a coincidence, did you know that the Great Pyramid of Giza is perfectly aligned with the surface of our Earth? If you extend lines from its faces, they run exactly through true north. Okay, that could be considered a coincidence. But if not for that fact, using the so-called true north, sailors orient themselves at sea. For example, the Paris Observatory was created by that same principle. How did they make a perfect pyramid that aligns with true north without even a compass? Do not think I am trying to tell you that the world is ruled by masons, lizards, or that we are constantly deceived. I would say it like this. In any case, think about this. If they now declared that an alien civilization exists, and they had hidden it for 90 years, how many other statements have not yet reached our ears? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.